Everyone has their favorite golf brand, but are they really as good as the hype? Today, I'm gonna be ranking every major golf brand as overrated, underrated, or properly rated. And trust me, a couple of these might ruffle some feathers. The brands that I'm gonna be ranking in today's video are as follows. TaylorMade, Titleist, Callaway, those are obvious. Then we're gonna go Mizuno, Srixon, Cobra, and Ping. And I feel like before I start ranking these brands, I'm obligated to say this. This video is lighthearted, it's just in a little bit of fun. So if your favorite brand falls in the overrated category, trust me, I get it. I'm a club fitter. Just because, I have certain thoughts of one brand versus another, that doesn't mean that certain people don't fit best into certain brands. All of these companies make really, really good golf clubs that do fit some percentage of golfers out there. So just remember that I said that while you're listening to these rankings. Also, for my credentials, I am a certified professional club fitter. I'm certified by all these companies to fit for their golf clubs. So I have a good grasp of, kind of what works, what doesn't, and, how these companies have done in the landscape of golf. But starting it off here, I'm gonna start off with Cobra, and they are gonna fall into underrated. In my opinion, Cobra doesn't quite get the respect they deserve. This year they've come out with just an absolute banger of a driver in the Cobra DS Adapt Max K driver. I've said this in other videos, but I stand by it. That driver could be the best standalone driver from any company in the entire game of golf right now. Their Future Fit 33 technology that allows you to really customize the hosel setting as far as loft and lie on drivers, woods, and hybrids. I was skeptical about it at first as a club fitter. It seemed a little gimmicky, but after hundreds and hundreds of fittings with Cobra's Future Fit 33 technology, it's really proven itself that it's a valuable asset. So drivers, they're absolutely killing it right now. That's no question, but I also think they're underrated in their irons. Not as much with their game improvement irons. I don't think those quite stack up to a few other brands, but their players irons are really, really good and really, really underrated. I think the Cobra King Tour irons are super underrated. They fall into the same type of category as like a P770 from TaylorMade, and I would argue that if you put the King Tour iron head-to-head up against all the other irons in that category, I would argue they would be probably top 3. Then I also think that their woods and hybrids are probably the longest on the market right now, in my opinion. There are a couple others that are close, but they are definitely one of the longer fairway woods and hybrid manufacturers out there. So yeah, overall, I think Cobra's doing an awesome job. I can't talk too much about their wedges or putters being underrated because I really don't think they are. But the rest of the clubs that I talked about, absolutely underrated. If you're looking for a new driver or hybrid fairway wood or, player's iron, make sure to go check out Cobra. So moving right along here, we're gonna go to the brand that is on my hat, Srixon. And we're actually gonna start this video off with back-to-back underrateds. Now, in my opinion, Srixon is far and away the most underrated brand in the game of golf right now. And I think they're starting to not get that way with some success on tour with guys like JJ Spawn, Keegan Bradley, Hideki Matsuyama, guys like that. But I still think they fly super under the radar for how good their clubs are. I think that they're a top 3 iron company in the world for sure. I think that the V-Sole technology just allows for the best turf interaction on the market. And I also think that their wedges, their Cleveland wedges, especially the RTZs that just came out, I think that they are 1 or 2 in the entire golf world as far as wedges right now. So yeah, irons, wedges, I think they look awesome. I think they feel awesome. I think their woods historically have not been great, but I think this year with the ZXi lineup was a significant improvement, a significant step in the right direction. So I'm so excited to see what they come out with in the next few years. Then the area that I think Srixon might actually be the most underrated is in the golf ball world. So I think that Pro Vs, I think, are the best golf ball out there. I'm not gonna sit here and say that there's a ball that's better than the Titleist Pro V1. But if I had to put a challenger to that ball or put a company in second place, it would be Srixon with their Z-Star lineup. I think the Z-Star XV rivals the Pro V1X left dash. It's just a softer feeling version of that ball, and it still performs awesome. I think the Diamonds is great for your lower spin players that want a little bit more spin, and then I think the regular Z-Star is awesome as well. Then even their non-premium ball, their like second tier ball in the Q-Star and Q-Star Tour, those are also awesome as well. Those are probably the best selling second tier ball that we have in the store. So yeah, the only part of the Srixon Cleveland kind of umbrella that I wouldn't be able to, truly say is underrated are their putters. I don't think their putters are that great. I don't think the HB Soft putters are that good. You know, I think there are better options out there. They're definitely a good bargain for the money, but I do think there are better options for putters out there. But I think the rest of the clubs that they make, from driver through wedges, are the most underrated in the game of golf. Now, going to the next company, we're gonna be talking about Ping, and in my opinion, they fall into the properly rated category. Ping is kind of a weird company for me for a few reasons. They're the only company that makes their own shafts, so they don't really have too much of a shaft selection when it comes to, you know, outside shafts. But then also their fan base, I found in my fittings that people either really like Ping and they only want to hit Pings, or they prefer to get fit into Pings, or they want nothing to do with them. They want no business with Ping, and they hate the company. They're by far the most polarizing brand that we have in the store. I don't think they necessarily deserve all that. I think that they're a good brand. I think they make really good drivers. If you're looking for a forgiving driver, look no further than Ping. They are by far the kings of forgiveness. They have been for years now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. I think their irons are good. I think their irons are pretty solid. I think their game improvement irons, so the G730s and the G440s, I think those are good. I don't think their players' irons are quite on that level. I don't think the Blueprint Ts are quite there. I don't think the 240s are quite that good. I do think the Blueprint S's are really good, however. And then their wedges are pretty solid too. I don't think they're quite up there with Cleveland or Vokeys, but I do think that they're super solid wedges. The S159s look really good. I think they offer a good amount of different grinds and bounces and stuff like that. I think they do an overall really solid job, but I don't think Ping is quite good enough to be in the underrated category. They're definitely not bad enough to be in the overrated category though. The next brand I go to is going to be the first overrated brand that we talk about. But before we get there, I want to talk about Primo. If you guys have been watching the channel for a little bit, you know that in every one of these videos, I'm wearing at least one thing Primo, this video included, and I finally partnered with them, and I have my own discount code for you guys. That code is AKS15. It's gonna be in the corner of this video. I appreciate all the support you guys have shown. This wouldn't be possible without you guys, so yeah, just a big thank you and shout out to you guys. Now, getting right back into the video, I said this next brand is gonna be the first overrated brand that we have, and this is the one where I might ruffle some feathers, but it's gonna be Callaway. Callaway fans, don't hate me, but overall, I think that Callaway in the past year to 2 years has really taken a little bit of a nosedive. I think Callaway was on a really good trajectory with the Rogue, then the Paradigm, then the AI Smoke last year. I even played the AI Smoke last year and I loved it, but I do think the Elite lineup was a little bit of a letdown this year. Just from what I found, none of the heads really beat out any other brand. So, you know, the most forgiving Elite model wasn't any more forgiving and wasn't any longer than any other brands. And then the Elite Triple Diamond wasn't nearly as forgiving as some other companies' low spin monster drivers. Now, I think their irons are good. I think the Elite irons are fine. And then I think the Apex line is really good. But I think that price-wise, they don't really fall into any category. I think that the Apex line is really good, but I don't think that they're necessarily better than some other irons out there that are actually cheaper. For example, the Srixon, the ZXi 5s and 7s, there's about a $40 to $50 price gap per iron between the ZXi line from Srixon and the Apex line from Callaway. I do think the Elite irons are a really good deal this year though. They're only about $150 per iron, which is the same as, you know, TaylorMade QI, and they're actually a little bit cheaper than the Mizuno game improvement irons that are really popular this year. But the Elite irons have actually done really well for me. Then they also came out with the TI Fusion iron, which is just kind of for nobody. It's a hollow body, you know, player's iron, but it's like $350 per club. Which is up there with like Mira and like your super luxury irons. And I just don't know what the point of that was. I don't know anybody that games those. I don't think I'll ever know anybody that games those. I just think that was a really weird release from Callaway. I really like the Jaws and the Jaws Raw wedges, but with the Opuses, I think they were a little bit of a step back this year. I hate how small the area is between the hosel and where the grooves start. It looks like they're just inducing shanks. Like if you look at it compared to previous years or even other wedges, that area is so small and it's just, yeah, it's like they want people to shank the golf ball. Now, the area that I will never say is bad from Callaway is Odyssey. Their putters are absolutely phenomenal. I will never have a bad thing to say about those putters. They are, in my opinion, probably the #1 or #2 putter brand out there. So that I will never say anything bad about. But overall, I do think Callaway took a little bit of a step back this year. I still think they make awesome clubs. I'm sure they're gonna come out with an awesome driver next year and an awesome new lineup next year, but I do think this year was a little bit of a letdown. Now, the next brand I talk about is gonna be another underrated company out there, and that is gonna be Mizuno. Now, if you put a gun to my head and said, pick the best iron brand out there, I would probably have to say Mizuno. While I don't think their drivers are on the level of really any of these other brands or their woods in general, I don't think they have to be. I don't think you would expect them to be. But what you expect from Mizuno is a really, really, really good iron, from game improvement all the way through to players irons, and that's exactly what they are. On the players side of things, you have the 241, the 243, which is just an awesome players iron, the 245, which is sort of like a P790. Then you also have them introducing the S3 and the S1, which look absolutely fantastic. Then in that kind of players distance category, you have, again, the 245, and you have the JPX 925 hot metal forged. And then where I think they really shine and kind of slide under the radar a little bit, and this is kind of what makes them underrated in my opinion, are their game improvement irons. So they have the 925 hot metal line, so hot metal high launch, hot metal, and hot metal pro. And those are absolutely incredible game improvement irons. Those are by far my most fit into game improvement lineup, and I don't see that changing at all throughout the rest of the year. I also think their new wedges are really good. The T1s and the T3s, I think they look good. I think they feel great. Obviously, it's a Mizuno. I just think overall, anything that looks like an iron or wedge, Mizuno is probably gonna be my #1 or #2 pick. Moving right along here, we are gonna go to Titleist, and that is gonna be another brand for me that is properly rated. And they are kind of the gold standard in golf, and for good reason. I think their drivers are #1 or #2 out there. The GT lineup is awesome, GT1 through GT4. All of them do exactly what they should, exactly what you'd expect them to do. I think the irons are also great this year. They're coming out with a new T-Series lineup. Super excited to hit those. I already have been fit for my T100s, kind of ironing out some kinks there, but I really, really like them so far. I also think their wedges, everybody knows about Vokeys. They're the top of the wedge world right now. I don't see that changing anytime soon. And then also they have, obviously, the golf ball, the gold standard of golf balls, the Pro V1. There's a reason that most of the uncontracted guys on tour are playing Titleist. There's also a reason that Scotty Scheffler has Vokeys in the bag and still plays the Pro V1. It's because they're just better. They just are. You can hate it, you can say it's not true, but those are the best wedges and the best golf ball in the game. There's one area in Titleist that I do think flies under the radar, and that's the AVX golf ball. If you're not a super high swing speed player, but you get a ton of height and a ton of spin and you need to take some height and spin off, try the AVX. I think it's a super under the radar golf ball that more golfers should give a shot. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to say with Titleist. Even to their apparel and their gloves, they're the best. In my opinion, they're just the best golf brand out there. Nobody really comes close, but yeah, Titleist, properly rated, absolutely, no question in my mind. And last but not least, we have the brand that I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for, TaylorMade. And I really battled here. I was between properly rated or slightly overrated, and I ended up settling on slightly, ever so slightly overrated. And here's my reasoning. Consistency is key. Consistency is really, really important. I'd rather you come out with a really, really good product every 2 to 3 years like Titleist versus kind of spew out a really bad product every once in a while just because you're releasing so often. For example, I think QI10 last year was absolutely awesome. I think it was one of the best drivers of the year, probably my pick for driver of the year. I think QI35 is fine. I really like mine, but I think overall in the grand scheme of things, they're just fine. I think Stealth was not good. I think Sim was all right. And then, you go before that, I think, M2 was awesome. M3, M4 was okay. But yeah, there's just a lot of fluctuation in the success and really how good their drivers have been. Irons, I'm never gonna say anything bad about. I do think the P790s are one of the most popular irons in the game of golf for good reason. They're awesome, especially the new ones. They feel and they sound so much better. The new P790s are absolutely great. P770s, same thing. I think the P7CBs are actually underrated. I think they're a really, really good player's iron. They kind of fall under the radar because they're overshadowed by the P770 and P790. And then I think the QI irons are a really good game improvement iron. Now, I do think they fall a little bit behind on the wedge market. Now the MG5s just came out, so I don't really have much of an opinion on those yet. But the MG4s, their classic kind of blade looking wedge, in my opinion, didn't stack up to Titleist, Cleveland, Mizuno, or Ping. The high toe wedges are fine. They're kind of a niche wedge for a small section of the market. And then you move into the putters, obviously, again, same thing with the irons. I'm never gonna say anything bad about TaylorMade putters. The Spider is absolutely awesome. It will continue to be great for years and years to come. I also think they have a super underrated line in the TP and the TP Reserve line of putters. I think those are really, really good, a really good bargain. You can find them for 150 to 250 bucks, and they feel and perform really, really good. And then their golf balls are good. I think that the TP5 and the TP5X do exactly what they're supposed to do. I don't think they're spectacular. I don't think they're bad. I do think the price is outrageous, that they're gonna start charging $60 for a dozen of golf balls. Titleist doesn't even do that. I don't know who in their right mind would buy a TP5 for $6 more than a Pro V1. I don't think anybody should do that. I don't know why people would do that. So yeah, that's a little bit confusing to me, but the balls themselves are fine golf balls. But yeah, I think that TaylorMade is a pretty polarizing brand. I think some years they come out with awesome drivers that are best in the world. I do think they get lazy some years and they come out with maybe not the best products. But overall, I think they're obviously a really, really, really solid brand. I'd say they're a top 3 to 4 brand, probably top 3 easy brand in the golf world. I just think that their inconsistency can't let me say that they're properly rated. I am gonna say they are slightly, just a tick overrated. So that's my list. Some brands get too much hype, some brands don't get nearly enough, but now I wanna hear from you. Drop in the comments what brands you think are the most underrated and overrated in the game of golf. And again, I know I probably ruffled some feathers out there, so let me know about it in the comments. I'm ready to defend my takes. But yeah, again, I appreciate the support you guys have shown. I appreciate you watching these videos, leaving your comments, interacting. I really do appreciate it. If you like the videos and you want more, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. And until next time, peace out.